Hi, this is George Walley-sephes here. This is my last essay video, and I wanted to revisit a question that I answered previously, which was, should one believe in the afterlife? And when I previously answered it, I said that we should believe in the afterlife based off of near-death experiences. But considering everything that I learned up in until now in this class, I realized that it's not just the near-death experiences of why we should believe in the afterlife. The main source of why we should believe in the afterlife, I believe, is love. And love is a broad topic, so I'm gonna break it down. Is love, as in we have like the love of this world, the love of God in the afterlife, and we also have the love of ourselves and one another. And the love for those three things can be a major source for believing in the afterlife. I want to revisit another thing that I talked about previously was the Viking and Egyptian afterlife. They're a good example of how the love of this world can be a source of belief in the afterlife. Because the Vikings' belief in the afterlife was similar to their current world. So they thought their afterlife had the partying, the sex, the drinking, the fighting, things like that. They buried all their belongings with them, and even at times, they even killed their servants and had their servants go to the afterlife with them as well. So they really had a major love for this world, and that motivated their belief in the afterlife and what it was going to be like, and how they should act on this earth. And the same thing goes for Egyptians. Um, the Egyptians had a love of this life. They buried everything, their belongings, their money, etc. They brought all those things with them to the afterlife. That's just something that they thought that they could do. But basically, it just shows how a belief in, like, it just shows how love of this world can be a source of believing in the afterlife. Especially if your belief in the afterlife is similar to the current world that you live in. Um, and next, I'm gonna talk about how the love of God and the love of the afterlife can be a source for believing in it. Um, a good example of that would be like the flight from fresh. I'm sorry, flight from flesh. View of the afterlife. So basically that says that it's a flight from this world. You don't want to be here. This world is crappy. It's a shitty place, and you want to go be with God. Your love of God, and your love of the afterlife, heaven, etc. Um, that's kind of like your source for believing in the afterlife. It's because you want to be with God, you love Him, and you want to be with Him. So that's how like love of it's like wanting to spend life with God, basically. And so your love of Him is your source of believing in the afterlife because your love for Him, love. And next, I want to talk about how the love of each other can be a source of believing in the afterlife. A good example of that would be the Native American view of the afterlife. Um, in their view of the afterlife, it's kind of like they were always able to connect with the people that had passed previously. So all their loved ones, children, wives, etc. The stories and parables that they told, it was like the afterlife in the world was connected through love. So because you had this love for that person, because they meant something to you, they always was able to show up and kind of be a part of your life, even though they were dead. And another example of how the love of each other can be a source for the afterlife is in the stories that we read about the children who had passed and how their mothers handled the situation. So in that story, you had children that died from different diseases, and the mothers dealt with their death by basically they loved their children so much that it's kind of like they wanted the best for them, and they knew that they were going to a better place because it's like you wouldn't want your child to go anywhere else, but to heaven or to someplace good, especially if you can't come up with a reason for why they even died for the first place. The only reason or good thing about it that they can come up with is that their child is in a better place. They're in heaven. Um, so as a way to they use that as a way to basically cope and deal with the amount of stress that they were going to. So the love that they had for their child boosted their belief in the afterlife, because that's where they wanted their children to be. And I had a hard time coming up with an objection for this because love is so powerful, and I realized that a great objection for this would be that it's not love that boosts our belief in the afterlife or motivates us to believe in the afterlife. It's actually hate. And the reason that some might say that is because um, it might actually be a hate of this world that boosts our belief in the afterlife. So I would go back to the flight from flesh idea. Like I said, the flight from flesh idea states that basically you hate this world. There's nothing good about this world. This world is a shitty place, and therefore you want to go and be in the afterlife. That the afterlife is a source of escape from this world. So because you hate this world so much, it can basically be a source of believing in the afterlife because you want something better after you pass. And another example would be how hate of each other can be a source of belief in the afterlife. And a good example of that would be like the vengeance based afterlife. Um, in the video that we watched about a man who had joined ISIS, um, he stated in his video how everybody who didn't believe in Islam, everybody who didn't follow their beliefs was going to hell, and that it was his job to send them there. And his hate for the people who didn't follow Islam, that basically boosted his belief in the afterlife because he felt like he was going to be rewarded. Um, he felt like he was going to be rewarded for hating those people and actually being the ones to send them to hell. Um, so yeah, that objection basically is stating that hating this world, hating other people that don't believe in your beliefs, can also drive you to believe in the afterlife. Because you can basically hating in this world, like I said, the flight from flesh idea. Um, Sorry about that. I had to get my thoughts together for a minute. But basically, what I'm trying to say is that an objection would be that the hate of this world and the hate of other people in it can be our drive and our motivation to believe in the afterlife. Because we want to escape from this world because we hate it, and also because we may want the people who don't believe us or believe in what we believe in or don't follow a certain particular religion. Afterlife can be a way to punish those people who didn't believe in them. So that's how hate. That's the objection for that, and a rebuttal for that would be that although hate may be a reason for somebody to believe in the afterlife because they hate this world or they hate the people in it, that hate it stems from the love of something else. So I'll go back to the objection that I said, the hate of this world and wanting to get away from it because it's a terrible place. That hate for this world stems from the love of God and the love of the afterlife. So because you love God and you want to be with Him and you want it to be in heaven, that's a much better place. It's a good source of like maybe a reason why you hate this world is because you love God and you love the afterlife and that's where you want to be. And the same thing goes for when some people hate each other because they don't follow their beliefs. That hate because they don't believe what they believe in comes from the love of their religion, the love of their beliefs. The love of those things cause them to hate other people. So what I'm trying to say is that it's love. Like the hate stems from the love of something else. And I would like to leave you with this quote. The quote comes from a man named of Thornton Wilder. It comes from the book The Bridge of San Luis Rey. And the quote reads, But soon we shall die, and all memory of these five will have left the earth, and we ourselves shall be loved for a while and forgotten. But the love will have been enough. All those impulses of love return to the love that made them. Even memory is not necessary for love. There is land of the living and the land of the dead, and the bridge is love. The only survival, the only meaning. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed my essay video, and have a great day. This is George Cephas.